Suraj Yengde. Suraj Yengde, postdoctoral fellow, IARA, I'll tell you the long form, again from the same school where Praveen sir had gone, Howard Kennedy School. Suraj Yengde is an award-winning scholar and an activist from India. Suraj is an author of bestseller Caste Matters, which was unveiled today. He is an inaugural postdoctoral fellow at the Initiative for Institutional Anti-Racism and Accountability Shorenstein Center on Media, Politics and Public Policy at the Howard Kennedy School. Suraj is India's first Dalit PhD from an African university. He had gone to Johannesburg, which is in South Africa, in the nation's history. Suraj is a published author in the field of caste, race, ethnicity, studies, and inter-regional labor migration in the global south. Currently, he is involved in developing a critical theory of Dalit and Black studies. Suraj was recently featured in a multi-part series on caste in America sponsored by Pulitzer Center of WGBH. His recent work with the philosopher Cornel West has received global attention and calls for unity between the African American and the Dalits. Suraj is an academic activist and a noted public intellectual in the transnational movement of Dalit right. He is actively involved in building solidarity of Dalit, Black, Roma, Indigenous, Buraku and refugee peoples solidarities in the Fourth World Project of marginalized peoples. Suraj has delivered over 2,000 lectures, including keynotes at international academic conferences and seminars across the world on the issues of casteism, racism, institutionalized discrimination, diversity and inclusion. He is convener of India for Diversity movement. Recently, we had conducted one first Dalit Film Festival also in New York. His recent work with the philosopher Cornel West has received global attention and calls for unity between the African Americans and the Dalits. Please welcome.
Thank you so much. Jai Bhim, Nagpur. I am so happy I keep coming here. And I think it's because of Nagpur curse I have to come here. They are very, very devoted, as well as they are very, very committed, and also they are sometimes forceful. They also emotionally blackmail you for you to come. So all that culminates into me coming here. Before I begin, I would just like to make some acknowledgments and thank yous, without which this event could not have been possible. So the conversation for having this, meaning we have been doing this for about 4 years in this area, and AIM, through AIM we have been doing this for long. Iman Bhau, Raju Bhau has been part of that movement. So Vijay and Vinay, they only have a, N and J as in their name. That is the only difference. And so whenever I was in conversation with them, Vinay, once when I was in Delhi this December and January, we had a lunch, and then he very interestingly put forward this proposal that we have to do this event in Brahmapuri, and he made sure that he got yes from me towards the end of the meeting. And I think it is to his credit really that Brahmapuri is going to be possible. Vijay Bhau is always, he actually wants me to come to Nagpur among all of you also, and he keeps following because I think the vision they have and their team have is something that has to do with the vision of Baba Sahib, and which is to work with our education as a field. And so and this kind of club together, and we all got together. And so the idea of Harvard Ambedkarites was floated when Kanishka, me, Anurag, Mani, Sujata were at Harvard at the same time, and it was like the first time. There were so many Ambedkarites at the same place in a very elite institutions, coming from this amazing background and still holding strong and going strong. And so we started having initial meetings, we started having initial conversations, and we discussed various issues. More importantly, it was to what can we do? Well, we are educated, we are at Harvard. What can we do since now we are here in the sense of paying back to our society? Because this is the right time for us to paying back to society, because we are already here. And if we are already here, people will have more personal level relation, because you're a Harvard person, and so they will look at you in a very sensible light. And so that's how we started, and then we kind of got together and made an informal group where we made an announcement that we want to in the years to come, in 10 years to come, we will at least put across 100 PhD students through Ivy League schools. And I think that was the aim. And then, basic information that they give you is what we do not have. The rest we have. We can work hard. We are very devoted, and we are unapologetic about what we do. We are very faithful in the way we pilot any work, any project that we have. And so this conversation thus forth began, and I would really like to acknowledge my dear brother and friend Captain Vinay Bambole, because what he did through this occasion is he got together the Ambedkarites who are pilots. It's very rare occasion that we know pilots amongst us. And if they are united under a powerful name of Ambedkarites Aviator Group, it's a powerful message and signal. And this is the first time that AAG has inaugurated any such event. So let's give it up for AAG. And of course, we have organizations, Savika. Savika keeps, the Gulf Ambedkarites, I call them, who have been very much looking, and their projects are philanthropic as well as movement oriented. There is a lot of diversity in them, and through them this kind of conversation unfolded, and then we got many exciting people on board. AIM is our organization. It's all of yours organization, and because it operates across the world, and it is the only organization that has firm roots within the Ambedkarite community. And it was a natural instance that AIM was supposed to be, and it had to be part of it. And Hemant Sute is someone who is who does the work. He is the someone I look at a person. If you give him a task, he will make sure it reaches its logical end. And I've been observing him doing that for so long. And whenever he can, and whenever there are events, he comes as a very patient audience. He sits in the audience, grasps what is being discussed, be it conferences in Colombia, or we did the Dalit Film Festival and various events. The curiosity of him, and then he brings back that energy amongst him, and then he has created this. I was very impressed to see the women folks he's been concentrating upon, and I think that's a very generous of you, and also that's very congratulatory of you that you are taking our sisters you're putting them on a level where they really deserve. You are literally giving them the wings that the Brahminical system has chopped them since they were born into the system. So let's give it up to Hemant Sute. And of course, we have Baba Saheb Ambedkar National Students Federation. It's very important that we, as students, we don't have any organization on a national level. We are desperately lacking on that. Because of that, our most important resource for our community, the most valuable, the most prized possession is education. And the most valued group amongst us are our students, because they are our futures. We have heavily invested in them, and we continue to do so. But we don't have a cogent program to unite our students, and they undergo atrocious experiences since they enter colleges, and they are not prepared well enough. And I think this is about time in organizations like BANSF and others, and especially us, the adults, so-called adults or people mature, that they inject the confidence in them. A person cannot go any far if he or she is not proud of who he or she is. Unless you are proud of who you are, your ancestors, your history, your struggle, and your day-to-day survival tactics, if you do not acknowledge this as part of your being, you are merely a skeleton without a soul walking on the streets. We want you to be proud. We want you to be aggressively proud, because you are here because there are many sacrifices done on your behalf. If I am here, my community has sacrificed for me, directly or indirectly. And that's why we owe a huge debt to our community. The people, the students who are going to colleges and schools, it is not only because of your parents that you're going to school, it is because of your community sacrifices that you're reaping the benefits of it. Somewhere, sometime, there was someone in your community on the streets, in the parliament, in the bureaucracy, in the schools, fighting for your rights. Because when we fight for all of our rights. We don't fight for individual rights. And that's the beauty of being an Ambedkarite. We have amazing, these are the pioneers, ladies and gentlemen, that I am presenting to you. R.S. Praveen, one of the first bureaucrats to crack the Mason MP, a highly competitive mid-career program at Harvard Kennedy School, getting through it and getting scholarships from both government and as well as Harvard. And after that, creating a tradition that almost every year there is at least one scheduled caste bureaucrat in the program getting admitted ever since he went to the school. And it continues to happen. Even now, we have one of us in the Harvard Kennedy School who I'm going to very shortly meet. Anurag Bhaskar. Anurag Bhaskar is probably the first amongst us to graduate from the prestigious Harvard Law School. No one that we know of comes from the community and who has gone to the best of the best schools where the elites have gone and still retain his pride about his community, and whenever he went and wherever he talked, he made sure that his community was his center of focus. And that's why when he dedicated his thesis to the memories of Rohit Vemula as well as to the struggle of Payal Tadvi, it is here we see the new Ambedkarites that are building up. The third pioneer, Kanishka Elupula. We have heard his story. A person from our community to get into Harvard PhD program. In 2 years' time, he will be a Harvard PhD. That's a powerful symbol. That's a powerful cultural capital. The people who went to Harvard and had PhDs in economics are the people who are destroying the country. Kanishk Elupula will unite the country. He is a source of inspiration to all of you, including me. Coming from the odds that all of you have come from. We are part of you as much as you are part of us. I am an extension of you. So let there be no barrier. Let there be no hurdle to think that he or she is an extraordinary. We are still part of you. And therefore, you have to be like us and more than us. The reason we decided to have this conversation and have this personable interaction with you is to tell you that you rightly deserve more than what you have right now. And with their testimonies and the stories, you can see they were not satisfied with what they were given. They always wanted more because they knew they had responsibilities. Responsibilities that go and surpass beyond family, children, and immediate internal circle boundaries. They have responsibilities of a community that they are so proud of being part of that. And therefore, this is an opportunity for all of you. And Nagpur has this incredible privilege to host and to witness first ever Harvard Ambedkarites convention, and with the participants, with the star speakers coming to you directly. We had many pioneering events, one of them very famous, All India Depressed Class Women's Conference that was conducted in Nagpur. Then of course, we had Baba Saheb Ambedkar converting in this very space, giving us a new identity, a new life, removing us from the fiefdom and the slavery that the Hindu Brahminic system had given us and gave us a new life, ushered a new confidence amongst us by making us Buddhists. and now the tradition continues. I would like to acknowledge the incredible volunteers who are dressed in the purple. They have really put in their efforts, and you can see in the way you're organized and you're sitting. Let's give it up to the volunteers who have put in their efforts. Let us also acknowledge the beautiful women around here who have been very graciously, patiently being, as Captain Bambole called them, the cabin crew. I call them the soulful butterflies of this audience. I would also like to acknowledge Dalit Dastak Ashok Das has come all the way from New Delhi to cover this event. Lord Buddha TV, as well as Awaz India TV. And also a personal, my brother Pawan Yengde is here, who has also traveled with me from he's doing recording, as every loyal brother would do. So this is part of two events. One is in Nagpur and one is in Brahmapuri. And the reason I was so excited about Brahmapuri, not that I was not excited about Nagpur, but Brahmapuri is because we don't really go to those places. And it is our responsibility to reach out to those unknown yet very important places. It is from there we can drive more inspiration and we can create more stars from the community. Sujacha Saunik, who is now Additional Chief Secretary to the government of Maharashtra, and Mani, who is another bureaucrat. These are the people who have achieved something certain in their life, but they have not stopped there, because that is a message to you all. Don't limit yourself with what you have received in an immediate gratification. If you receive something and you're happy in that, that is to confine your more talents. We want you to be the next Ivy League graduates. Because it is you who in the 21st century will be able to defend as well as fight against any atrocities or any violence that the community will receive from the bigot minds, Brahminical people. If you are sharp and if you are educated, and education of course from Ivy League will grant you certain recognition, because the people who harass us have also gone to those schools. They are part of the policies, they are part of the chief economic advisories, and they are consulting the governments on various levels. We can also be that, but we can also be pioneers in conducting independent research. We want pioneering researchers from our community, like the Jews did. Jews is a minority community if you consider them in a global ranking, but Jew is the only community that has highest number of Nobel Prize winners. We want our community to be the next highest Nobel Prize winning community. And it is through the foreign education. It is not necessarily that you will go to some cheap university here and you will get. Your education is not granting you curiosity, creativity. It is confining you. It is killing your desires and it is killing your every passionate attentions that you want. It is not encouraging research. It is not pushing you onto the edge. It is just giving you a paper granting you as an engineer, you as a doctor. You are not doing anything more. You are rote learning. You are mugging up your answers. You are sitting it for 3 hours, passing exam and getting a degree. You are not contributing to the knowledge production. I want us to be the knowledge producers. Without producing knowledge, you will never own a knowledge. If you own knowledge, you will decide the discourse. And if you decide the discourse, you will set a new direction for the community and for the humanity as a whole. We need to understand this fundamental difference. Your education with a certificate would not mean as important if you do a classic research, a pioneering research, by contributing your research for the upliftment of entire humanity. It could be any discipline. It could be law, it could be engineering, it could be science, anything. It could be design, it could be arts. Let us not limit ourselves to what these educational mafias have given us. They have given us very limited options. They are not asking us to think beyond, because they don't want you to expand. They know you are highly talented. How? Because in one generation, you can change the course of 1,000 years of slavery. Just one generation. Now imagine if the same amount of dedication and education is given with a highly sophisticated model. You will be the next Einstein of this country. And they don't want you to be that. We want you to be that. And our freedoms will come in various directions. Education is one of them. Vijay Baba was telling that education is our movement. Brother, we also want to make foreign education as a mass movement. Until and unless we grapple with those issues. And what this is going to do is, this is going to expand our thinking. Current education system is Brahminical. You don't question your teachers. If you question, he or she will punish you in your viva. We are all victims of that. We all know that. What to do with these Dronacharyas that are operating amongst us? We don't want to be the Eklavyas. We want to become the next Baba Sahibs. And why was Baba Sahib unique? Baba Sahib went to Ivy League school, the elite, the best school of the times, Columbia University. And who did he study with? That's more important. That is what we need to understand. The kind of exposure you will get there, the kind of new ideas that are developing there, that ideas are so necessary for the upliftment of our community. No other person will be able to uplift your community. It is only enlightened minds amongst you will be able to support that upliftment. And today, when we are looking across, we are developing, we are creating, and we are manufacturing a generation of frustrated youth. They are frustrated. There are no jobs. Labor Periodic Survey 2019 says 19% of people with graduate degrees are unemployed. Why? Because the education system here is privatized and the government that you are so much looking after is losing its essence. It is now privatized. Adani, in last 1 year, he made a profit of 109% more. How is it possible in a country where people are still entering the in the manholes and coming out as dead body when one particular caste is becoming the richest? We will be unable to grapple these issues if we continue to live in a localized form of life. We need to globalize. I always wonder, had Baba Sahib not been exposed to this global knowledge, the global motifs, the international thinking, the broad horizon he was exposed to, be it in London or be it in America, two epicenters of modern educations, what would he have been? Would he have dealt with the Enlightenment era thinking? Would he have dealt with the barrister degree that he had and brought new dimensions and breathed fresh air into our constitution? Baba Sahib Ambedkar became inevitable for this country. You couldn't even take the country's wheel an inch forward without Baba Sahib Ambedkar's interventions. And this is a responsibility upon us. How many of you call yourself Ambedkarites here? How many of you have decided to follow his path? How many of you went to Columbia University? One. To study.
Because I have presented one paper there.
Right. Presenting paper is a good thing, but did you study there? Did you have a degree there? We want that. Because being Ambedkarite does not mean to be having a fanciful interaction. If you are not highly educated as Baba Sahib, don't claim your Ambedkariteness as proudly. There is no worth that you are bringing to the community. You are just trying to make yourself pompous and proud among the semi-literate people that you are hanging out with. मोठ्यापणाच्या शिवाय तुम्हाला दुसरं काय भेटत नाहीये. छोटी नोकरी मिळालेली आहे सरकारी, अधिकारी झाल्या की त्याच्यातच तुम्ही खुश आहात आणि जो समाजातला जो गरीब वर्ग आहे त्याला तुम्ही दाबण्याचा प्रयत्न करता कारण तुम्ही मोठे आंबेडकर आहात. These shameless people who operate amongst us and try to tell their more Ambedkariteness have not even read Ambedkarite's entire thesis. And if we need to take Baba Sahib Ambedkar his mission forward, I think it's very important that we follow what he did in his life. And 100 years later, we need to do more than that. Perhaps we need to change some of that. Perhaps we need to advance some of that. But it is upon our responsibility, it is upon us to take this forward. How come does a minority community continue to dominate the economic means of production in this country while the other remains on the pittance of this minority community? Jains, for example. Do we not ask these important questions? Why is it that in international researches, where are our people? If you are a person who is working, congratulations. But we would also like you to do more than that. We would like you to contribute to the knowledge production. We don't want to be the consumers of knowledge, because a customer has no much dignity. And for you to advance a step further, you need to own up to the principles of knowledge. And we need to principally understand what does production of knowledge mean. Production of knowledge means that you do adequate research, adequate investment, and you think about it by taking all the perspectives in mind. We have many knowledge producers amongst us without degrees. We are a highly talented community. We are extremely sharp. We are extremely hardworking. If we have the same opportunities as other people, we will scale many heights. It's due to the economic, social, and as well as cultural disadvantages, we are unable to go to that side. It is upon our responsibility now. We were trying to give you that. And special congratulations to the parents, because you have to now think actively about your children. Money is always going to be a problem. People come and tell me that they would like to send their children to foreign education, but they have a money problem. Well, even if you have to send your children to a next city, money is still a problem. Money problem is always going to be there. We need to find out ways and pathways through this. If 100 students from our community, let's say, gets into Ivy League, I'm very sure our community will do fundraising to send those 100 kids to Ivy League schools. It's possible. Let's not find excuses. Let's get into the best and then say, I was there, I had no money. We will make sure. Because we are proud of our achievers. We want new icons. These are our new icons. And it is up to them that we are looking. We are following their pathways. We need to create million and million of such icons amongst us. There was a time where if you're a clerk in a bank or clerk in office, you're like the best, you're like the most educated or the most reputed person in the community. Now who asks for a clerk? Things have changed. Things have changed, time has changed. And there was a time when you were a bureaucrat, when you were in the elite services. Now that is also changing. Because new avenues are being exposed to us. Initially we were confined, we were given a limited knowledge only, and we were given limited futures only. And because of that, we could not do more than what we deserve. So let's do one thing. When we are claiming our Ambedkariness, me Ambedkarite ahe, I am Ambedkar, when we are claiming that, let's not be apologetic about it. Don't be sorry for who you are. That sorriness is degrading you. That sorriness is inferiorizing you. Why do you need to be ashamed of your own ancestors? Because the Brahminic culture taught you to hate your own ancestors. And if you are fighting against Brahmanism, you have to start with self-love. We need to create a community that always self-loves and self-cares. Unless we develop that as part of our thinking. Self-love is a very important ethic that has retained and maintained our community. Had there not been self-love, we would have become a selfish bunch of people. The reason we all try to do this is not a favor. It is because it's an outcome of self-love. When I'm loving myself, I'm loving you all. And that is the attitude we need to maintain. Let not be their animosity. Brother Praveen was saying he has big Baba Saheb Ambedkar's photo, and that was a very pride moment. Wherever he gives interviews, he has that big Ambedkar photo. At Harvard University, in my office, there is equally big size Ambedkar photo. These people know, Anurag and Kanishka, they visit. When you enter, you see Baba Saheb. You see the icon on whose shoulder I stand. And the people he represents. And on the door, there are 22 vows for some fringe elements to get. And I don't believe in Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha, and the 22, the Bhavis Pratijna of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. They are printed right there on my door. So before you knock, you need to pay attention to what you are going to enter. And this is not to receive your claps. This is to tell you a message. What are you doing in your life? Only mere clapping and applauding and accepting self-defeat is not going to do. It has to be part of our movement. Until and unless we claim ourselves, until unless we are proud on what we are doing, we will give no fruitful results. Your results will be anonymous. And what do I do with your anonymity? If you are a person from my community, the community will uphold you. Because they love each other. And that's what is happening. We love them because they are part of us. And they love you in return. So, today in various courses, when I say courses, I don't mean education, but in various facets of life, we continue to meet different people. Now, one amongst you, who is also from Vidarbha, who is a bureaucrat, he went to Ivy League school, he went to Cornell University. Anurag Meshram is his name. Anurag got selected to a very elite Masters in Economics program at Cornell University. It was ILR, International Labour Relations Program. Went there, graduated with distinction, came back and serving his community. He remains inspiration for you all as much as he remains inspiration for me. Let us give it up for Anurag Meshram for his contribution. Let us resolve one thing now. Do you have any other option than being who you are? Can you be anyone else? Just think about it. Just think for a minute or so. Can I be anyone else? I don't think so. Even if I try, the society knows who I am. Many of us live in that false reality. They think that they can escape. And that's why they not only disown themselves, but they disown their community. And when they disown their community, they disown the responsibilities that come with that. And when they do that, they live like a person who has no history, who has no present, and will have no future. It's almost like a stone without identity. What do I do with this? You are a people that have a glorious past. You are a people that have glorious histories that are built on the foundation of rebellion and love. You need to go back to your own ancestors. You need to go back to your own histories, and you need to claim that as your own. Let not Brahminical society tell you, you are monster. Tell them, you are monster because you are oppressing us. We are human because we are trying to humanize you. Our struggle is for humanity. And it is not humanity for us, but it is humanity for all. And the person who is oppressing us, we are giving them chance to be a human. Always believe in those principles, and especially to the youth. Currently we are living in a very interesting times. We are very insecure. And that's why many parents do not tutor, do not tell their children about their own history, about their own community. They are ashamed, or also they are maybe scared. They don't want to expose them to this. But then what are you exposing to them? A false reality that doesn't exist. Better be proud of where you come from. Expose to them. Many parents come to me and ask me, how did this all happen? Tell me our story. I am a product of a Bahujan movement. Had there been no Bahujan movement, I would not have been the way I am in front of you. So if you want to make your student or your child something, there is certain messages. I was rarely made to feel inferior about my identity. Because growing up in a movement, where you think, where you develop, and where you remember your ancestors, your glorious past, your struggle, you have development confidence. So don't beget your child. Please educate them. And not only educate, but inform them so much so that when they are going to go to college, any form of oppression comes, they are willing to fight back. Because today or tomorrow, they are going to leave your house. They are going to be individual people and they are going to face the brutal society. Tell them what belongs to you. And until and unless you have a investment in them as much as investment in the community, the children will not be a use to the society. Because they will be a burden on you. And if they are a burden on you, you become a burden on society. Let us develop that ethic. Let us tell each other about the greatness that we have. And let's not be narcissist about it. Let's be confirmed. Keep repeating about how much of an important that person, your child, is in his or her life. We don't have social and economic securities that will grant us that pleasures as well as the benefits and the privileges to be, because education is the only option. What else do we have? We don't have land. We don't have wealth. We don't have enough resources where even if the child fails, they can, do. We have no other option but to excel and excel the best in education. And so if you have no other option, why not be the warrior who has entered the field and become the general? Why do you become a mediocre? Because mediocrity will never have a future. You will just become one among many. You will not become among many one. And this is a very central thing. Your education is a responsibility. If you are going to school, if you are going to college, if you are going to university, you are just not going to educate yourself. You are going there to accept the responsibility that the community has given upon you. The day you enroll into your school, college or university, you have accepted the responsibility of the community. And this or that way, the society will ask for accountability. Because the society is sacrificing you daily so that you can be in the school. They are fighting daily on the streets, they are fighting daily in the offices, they are fighting daily in the houses so that you can get the best education. And therefore, if you want to get the best education, you need to be answerable to the people who are not known to you. I don't know how many people went on streets. I don't know how many people fought for getting me a scholarship. But I know they did it because they were hoping one day someone amongst us is going to go to a position and he or she will contribute back to society. So it is upon you, my dear young sisters and brothers. Utilize this opportunity. Be the pioneers. We don't have many pioneers in the community. This is a golden opportunity for you to be the pioneer of your own field. Don't just be the first in your family. Be the first in the community and first in the country. And many people who have sent their children to foreign countries and they continue to work for it, their contribution is amazing. But people without Ambedkarite consciousness are the people who are actually denigrating the community, who are actually being the burden on the community. We don't want such people. We want enlightened Ambedkarites. Thank you. Jai Bhim.
दलित दस्तक आपका अपना चैनल है। यह चैनल आपकी आवाज़ उठाने के लिए है। इसको जरूर सब्सक्राइब करें और अपने दोस्तों से भी करवाएं। बेल आइकॉन पर भी जरूर क्लिक करें।